A significant escalation in the Iran conflict has unfolded overnight, with the U.S. military reportedly shooting down Iranian drones threatening its forces. This event marks a pivotal moment in the ongoing war, raising critical questions about the future of U.S.-Iran relations. On May 1, 2026, the United States military confirmed an urgent incident involving the shooting down of multiple Iranian drones. This occurred at approximately 7:45 a.m. local time near the U.S. naval base in Bahrain. Reports indicate that the drones were part of an aggressive Iranian operation aimed at testing U.S. defenses in the region. U.S. officials stated that the drones posed a direct threat to American personnel and assets stationed there. The Pentagon described the incident as unprovoked aggression and emphasized that the military is prepared for further escalation if necessary. This incident is shocking not just because of the drone attacks, but also due to the timing and the heightened tensions in the region, following weeks of military buildup by both the U.S. and Iran. Since the reintroduction of sanctions against Iran, the country has increasingly turned to asymmetric warfare tactics. What distinguishes this incident from previous skirmishes is the use of advanced drone technology by Iran, which has evolved rapidly, making air defense a pressing concern for U.S. forces. The U.S. military has been monitoring Iranian activities closely, aware that these drones represent a significant leap in Iran's military capabilities. The immediate response from Washington included reinforcing naval operations in the Persian Gulf, with additional assets deployed to deter further Iranian actions. This approach underscores a strategic pivot as the U.S. aims to reassure its allies in the region, particularly in light of ongoing concerns about Iranian influence and aggression. The implications of this incident may extend beyond immediate military actions. They could reshape alliances and strategies in the Middle East. As tensions continue to simmer, analysts suggest that both nations may find themselves on a precarious path, where miscalculations could lead to broader conflicts. The potential for further confrontations raises critical questions about the effectiveness of diplomatic channels. In the coming weeks, the U.S. will likely continue to bolster its military presence while seeking to engage in dialogue with Iran to prevent escalation. The situation remains fluid, and the international community will be keenly observing developments, particularly how both nations navigate the complexities of modern warfare and regional stability. The implications of today's events are profound and far-reaching. A drone incident involving Iranian forces has prompted the United States to heighten its military readiness in the region, deploying additional naval assets, including 2 aircraft carriers. This escalation not only signals U.S. commitment to its interests, but also directly affects the nearly 50,000 American troops stationed in the Middle East, who now face increased risks in an already volatile environment. Historically, such military maneuvers often precede larger conflicts, raising alarms among defense analysts and policymakers alike. The backdrop to this incident is a long-standing rivalry between the U.S. and Iran, marked by sanctions, proxy battles, and diplomatic tensions that have persisted for decades. The Iranian leadership, responding to what they perceive as aggressive posturing, has vowed retaliation against any perceived threats, raising the specter of a broader conflict that could engulf the region. The economic ramifications of this escalation are also significant. Oil prices surged by over 5% following the announcement, reflecting global anxiety over potential supply disruptions. The Middle East is a critical hub for oil production, and any instability can ripple through international markets, affecting everything from gas prices at the pump to the cost of goods worldwide. Furthermore, the fragile economic climate exacerbated by these tensions can lead to increased inflation rates, impacting consumer spending and economic growth in many countries. The humanitarian impact of these tensions cannot be overlooked. Civilians in Iran and surrounding areas already face dire situations due to economic sanctions and previous conflicts. Heightened military operations could exacerbate these conditions, leading to further displacement and suffering among vulnerable populations. The average person should care about these developments, as the outcomes of such military engagements can lead to war, significantly impacting global security, economic stability, and human lives. The potential for escalation puts millions at risk and could involve allies and adversaries alike, creating a crisis that transcends borders and affects international relations on multiple levels. Looking ahead, diplomatic efforts are urgently needed to de-escalate tensions and avoid miscalculations. With the stakes this high, it is crucial for global leaders to engage in dialogue and seek solutions that prioritize peace and stability over military confrontation, fostering a climate conducive to negotiation. The current escalation between the U.S. and Iran has reached alarming levels, primarily driven by a long-standing history of hostilities. This tension was significantly exacerbated following the U.S. withdrawal from the 2015 nuclear deal in 2018, which aimed to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions in exchange for sanctions relief. The reimposition of stringent sanctions by the U.S. severely impacted Iran's economy, leading to hyperinflation and widespread public dissatisfaction, fueling its resentment further. Over recent months, these tensions have spiked as Iran advanced its drone technology and increased its support for proxy groups throughout the Middle East, particularly in Iraq and Syria. In late 2025, Iran's military posture shifted dramatically, conducting a series of provocative military exercises that showcased advanced weaponry and heightened its readiness for confrontation. In response, the U.S. strategically bolstered its military presence in the Gulf, deploying additional naval ships and aircraft to deter Iranian aggression. This tit-for-tat approach has led both nations into a dangerous game of brinkmanship, with each side testing the other's resolve. The history of drone warfare in this context is notable, as Iranian drones have previously threatened U.S. assets, resulting in confrontations that have escalated tensions without direct conflict. Understanding this backdrop is crucial, as it reveals the complex motivations and decisions that have led to the current crisis. The potential impact of this escalation could be far-reaching, affecting not only U.S.-stacked Iran relations, but also regional stability and global oil markets. Should hostilities continue to escalate, the risk of unintended conflict grows, which could draw in other nations and destabilize the entire region. Moving forward, diplomatic efforts will be essential to de-escalate tensions, as both nations must confront the intricate web of alliances and enmities that define Middle Eastern geopolitics. Looking ahead, several scenarios could unfold following the recent escalation in tensions between the U.S. and Iran. First, the U.S. may increase its military presence in the Persian Gulf, which raises the risk of confrontation at sea or in the air. Such a military buildup could lead to a broader conflict involving regional allies, including Saudi Arabia and Israel, whose interests are closely aligned with U.S. policies in the region. This scenario would significantly impact global stability, particularly in oil markets, as any military engagement could disrupt shipping lanes and raise prices. Alternatively, there is a possibility that diplomatic channels could reopen, with backdoor negotiations aimed at de-escalating tensions. However, this seems less likely given the escalating rhetoric and hardline stances from both sides. Experts predict that if tensions persist or worsen, Iran may retaliate through asymmetric warfare tactics, targeting U.S. interests abroad, potentially in places like Iraq or through cyber attacks. The implications of such actions could be severe, straining U.S. military resources and prompting a reevaluation of its foreign policy strategy in the Middle East. In the coming days, observers should closely monitor any changes in military deployments, statements from Iranian leaders, and potential responses from the Biden administration, which may include economic sanctions or diplomatic outreach. The international community's response to this latest escalation will be pivotal. A lack of consensus among world powers could embolden Iran, while a unified stance may deter further provocations. As the situation develops, the potential for a renewed nuclear deal also hangs in the balance. In the immediate future, the focus will be on how both nations navigate this precarious landscape, as the stakes for regional and global security continue to rise. As tensions rise, what will be the next move from both the U.S. and Iran? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for daily deep dives into the most pressing global issues.